Oh, let's get right into this because it's been a long night. I recorded Common Flock and then was like, oh, I may as well just edit and then get it through. Took 2 hours, 45 minutes of a podcast. Been a long night because I thought, oh, may as well just edit instead and not record one right after another. Bad idea. Anyways, let's go right to it. Jordan Johnson, the wide receiver freshman, soon to be now sophomore, or former freshman, now sophomore, but I almost said retired, transferring to, or it went into the transfer portal. This is a receiver I was very excited about coming out of last year. He didn't get much playing time, which I knew this would be a problem. And I was even thinking, well, what are we doing? We're not giving him playing time, and then Lindsey didn't get playing time outside of the time he was injured, or for no reason besides when he was injured. So what are we doing with our youth? Lindsey is now a junior, and he has to do something now or never. And Jordan Johnson was starting to become one of my favorite players on this squad, even if he really didn't get playing time. Same with Lindsey. Lindsey's been one of my more favorite players in the past couple of years, besides Fink. But we'll talk about him later, thankfully. But anyways, this is a hit to the receiving core. But I think if they focus on recruiting, get some good receivers on the next class, you don't have much to worry about. Unless you're the juniors and of the receiving core, or you're the next guys up in the receiving core, you're like, well, yeah, might want to do something here, huh? Because they lost Skoranek, the transfer from Northwestern, and McKinley at the receiving core. So they're... Not only that, Brock Wright and Tommy Tremble left. So now you're relying on Mayer at tight end. You still got Kyron and Chris Tyree at running back. Sebo left, who I'm not going to talk about the whole fleeing from the scene thing. He's not on the Irish anymore. I really don't care to cover the topic. It's not that important. He's not on the Irish anymore. Yes, it's bad light, but people are going to go, he was a Notre Dame player. Not anymore. Well, before this, he's not really with the squad, is he? I thought he entered the transfer portal and then just disappeared. Because he was supposed to enter the transfer portal and then I didn't hear his name again. So, I don't know. Johnson, I guarantee somebody was recruiting him heavily. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Wisconsin they were saying it was. I don't remember. But you know he's going to go somewhere else. Former 5-star recruit. Sucks, but hey, it is what it is. And we just got to roll with what we got. I mean, it sucks to see the kid go. But next man in. That's all we're at right now. Next man in. And then we had another transfer. One of our backup offensive linemen, a reserve offensive lineman is more the term. Dylan Gibbs, grad transferred out of Notre Dame. This is line depth. By the way, that was a great segue into this, but depth guy, but I think he was a good depth guy at the same time, but I get why he'd want to go. It's his last year. He's a he would be a grad transfer. He can utilize the new transfer rules, I think. I know he can. I think he can. Where you get immediate eligibility. So, I think he's just going just to get the playing time. But, hey. Like I said with Johnson, next man in. Segueing. Could Fisher and Spindler start the season? This was a question I really was thinking on. I think they could. I think it all depends on what Brian Kelly and the rest of the coaches want to do with this offense. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I think it'd be good if they're as good as I've heard and seen. If they can be good at this level, I think I'm all for it. I'm all for putting them in. And then if they play through their eligibility all in Notre Dame, they could be some more good old linemen coming out of the school. They've definitely got some potential. And Notre Dame is a very developmental school. And if you look at a lot of the prospects that have come out, Owusu Koromoa was a 3-star. Ian Book was a 3-star. A couple other guys were lower transfers. Notre Dame doesn't recruit the highest, and I know that's a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you guys suck at recruiting. No, we just don't recruit high, but we can develop that talent to be good. But let's hope that can continue, and these guys can develop and grow and become better players, and one day they can be great O-linemen in the NFL. Hopefully. But, hey, plans always get messed up. And something could go wrong. You never know. At this point, it's let's hope everything goes right on both sides. And we can only hope. I'm going to fly through this stuff on it. So, we have another tight end commit in the class of 2022 by the name of Holden Stays. 4-star tight end? It's a good commit. Like I always say, he hasn't signed the NLI, so it's not a confirmation, but for now, he's here. Not guaranteed here, but he's here. And that's somebody you can cement behind Mike Mayer. That's somebody you can mint behind Mini Gronk as your tight end too. And yes, he will be 2 years behind Mike Mayer, but once Mayer goes, he could be the next guy. If he stays, if he signs the NIL or NLI, and he progresses well, but I think it can happen. I really do. I'm really confident. Chris Fink signed with Kansas City. Yes. Fink is going to Kansas City. I don't think he's going to get much playing time. He may be a camp body. He may be just a depth body, but it's nice to see him go to a good place, and I wish him nothing but the best. And hopefully he finds success outside Notre Dame. And I can't wait to see what he does. I'm really going to, pay attention to anything and everything coming out of Kansas City that has something to do with him. Because this is going to be very interesting, to say the least. I'm very excited. He didn't get signed after the draft last year, and I kind of thought the writing may be on the wall. But hey, he got signed. I'm happy. For now. Till something goes wrong. Because that's... something may go wrong. Who knows? Hopefully. And 24/7 Sports had a tweet on games that could decide the fate of going to of the CFP. And at number 3 was Notre Dame versus Cincinnati. It's number 6 was Notre Dame versus Wisconsin, and number 8 Notre Dame versus USC, and at number 10 Notre Dame versus North Carolina. If Notre Dame doesn't have very much of a drop off, because their offense got a little bit worse and their defense got a little bit worse, I'd say if there's not much of a drop off, this still could be a great team. But you're coming up against teams like Wisconsin, though they just lost Jack Cohen, still a good team. North Carolina, they got Sam Howell at quarterback. He's progressed well over the past couple of years. He's going to be a tough opponent. Even last year they were very tough. USC is going to be another tough team. They're very tough to beat. And Cincinnati, who is a former top 25 member last year, who came kind of out of nowhere, I'd say, just because they haven't really been that high recently. Except it's not like Coastal Carolina just like coming out of left field, top 25, but close. Notre Dame, it's they got somewhat of a tough schedule. That's what I'm gonna seg that way into, is overlooking the schedule. But those are four very tough games. Those are really gonna decide what happens to Notre Dame. If they win all four, they're probably in the CFP. If they don't, if they win three, it depends on the three. If they win two, probably not. If they win one, they're probably out. And if zero, they're out. It all depends also on how the college landscape in general looks too. And if one of those teams has a steep drop-off or something happens and they just decide to fall off the face of the earth. Then again, you never know. Teams have imploded. So, it all depends what happens around the league, too. Not just with Notre Dame. And looking at Notre Dame's schedule, they are week 1 at Florida State, week 2 versus Toledo, week 3 versus Wisconsin. Week 4 versus Wisconsin in Chicago. Week 5 in against Cincinnati versus Cincinnati. Week 6 at Virginia Tech. Then they're off. Then they play versus USC. Actually, no, they play versus USC, versus North Carolina, versus Navy, at Virginia, versus Georgia Tech, and at Stanford. So, it'll be interesting because they start with Florida State, and at Florida State, and then they have 2 home games against Toledo and Purdue. Toledo, I think they can beat Purdue. It depends on how their team comes out this year. Wisconsin's going to be a tough game. It's the only neutral site game that Notre Dame has at this current moment. Then they are at home against Cincinnati. Then which is 2 tough games back to back. Then the at Virginia Tech, which is a decently tough game, but not very tough, I would say. Not on the level of like a Wisconsin, Cincy, USC, or North Carolina. Speaking of, they have 2 of the next 3 back to back home, USC and North Carolina back to back. And then they got Navy, who's on and off, good and bad. It depends. Yearly sometimes. So it depends on how they do. Then you're at Virginia, home against Georgia Tech, and at Stanford. The Stanford game may be tough, depending on how they look, too. Georgia Tech and Virginia, I don't know. I don't think those are going to be very tough either, just because it's the same kind of thing as a couple other ones. I just don't. It all depends on how they turn out. It says it's picking up noise. I don't know what it could be picking up. Okay, now it's fine. It said it was picking up something. But if it was, my bad. I don't know what I did, but wow, this has gone by quick. I have gone through almost all of my points in 15 minutes. But anyways, looking at the NIL vote, going into the House of Reps, what could it mean for Notre Dame, and one let be voted on. So, this was something I really wanted to talk about, because I've been talking about the NIL all the time, which, if you don't know, it is the name, image, likeness thing, and it's instrumental for if we want Notre Dame to go into a college football game. Not only that, for Notre Dame fans who want to play the new EA college football game that should come out anywhere between 2022 and 2023, Notre Dame's only going to be in there if the NIL goes through. It's not going to go through by July 1st, which is when certain laws about players and I think it was players and a couple things in terms of like endorsements and everything go into effect in certain states, and then it's also going to follow for the next year or two in some others that have already voted and passed, and it is also soon to be voted on by multiple other states, probably like 5 to 10, including New York. Some voted even like last month, but aren't putting it through till 2023. But the start for this for those to start going into effect is July 1st. Yeah, July 1st. I almost said June. I mean, we're gonna be in June in a couple days, or not a couple days, in like a month. But anyways, it's gonna be a while. Not only that, Alcott? I don't remember the name. It started with an A and it was something around there. Versus NCAA case. I think they're waiting on that first to go down, and then whatever comes out of that will end up kind of being instrumental, partially at least, with the NIL vote. And from what I've heard, it seems like on outside, NCAA is supportive of this going through. But on the inside, I wouldn't be so sure. Just because do you really think they want athletes getting like endorsement deals and getting paid and stuff and getting paid for like the college football game? And do you really think they want all this stuff? No. They've been delaying this. That's what they're doing sometimes. Like when it originally got pushed back from January for it being voted on, I said, just watch. The NCAA is going to stall because they don't want to do this. They don't want it to be voted on. And I have a feeling they may try to drag this case out for as long as possible just so it doesn't get voted on. Or if they're not going to get the ruling they want in this, I think it's Alcott case, they're just going to fight and fight and fight until they either get what they want or they're going to put up a very good fight for it and say, wow, we tried so hard to do it. And that's what they're going to do. I can tell you right now, that's what they're going to do. That's how they are. But it's going to be, if this goes through, and it should within the next year, I'm thinking it could. And the case, I think, ends by the end of this year, and then the NIL vote happens. And if that doesn't go their way, and EA gets a hold of this, and then just starts pulling in players to put in their game, there could be this could be good or bad or both on so many levels. And then it means colleges like Notre Dame just say, you know what, hey EA, we're in. But my only worry is this is EA and they're gonna screw this up, and then it's gonna send even more people back to NCAA 14. And Xbox Live servers are shutting down. When are they shutting down? December 31st of this year, which is why I'm planning to stream a little bit more this year just on Xbox 360, just because I want to crack out some online on some games, just so I can, or not stream, but really just get like footage and everything on 360 games that I can't play on my Xbox One. But that'll be interesting, especially so like NCAA 14. I think they shut down most of the online servers. But now with all the online servers going down, you can't get rosters. I don't think. Here's why I don't think you're gonna be able to get rosters and stuff and teams and team builders. And the team builder website's been shut down for a good 3-4 years now. 4, I think, since 2017. So nobody's been able to make a team, so everyone's just been pulling teams from ones that people have already made, and it's like using the EA editor or whatever it is. I forget what it's called. I used to try to use it, but then stuff got screwy and I just couldn't use it anymore because I have no idea what I'm doing. But like EA editor and stuff they would use and make the team kind of like they would want. And my thing is just you're gonna lose all that because 14 is not backwards compatible. Why it's not backwards compatible, I don't know. That's the one thing I question. But it should have been made backwards compatible when Xbox One got announced, because it came out in 13, and the Xbox One came out in 12. When NCAA was announced, it should have been said, yeah, hey, backwards compatible. But that's not. They wouldn't do that. That's since the lawsuit happened. They weren't gonna. Since everything happened, they weren't gonna do that. But it's gonna be interesting. As long as EA doesn't screw this up, I'm all for another college football game, especially where we can make our own teams. Even if we can't make our own teams, and you just say, well, here, generic teams that you can mess with to your liking. Yeah. But anyways, this was a very quick podcast. I didn't expect it to go this quick, but hey, that just means I can get them out sooner. Anyways, I will keep on the watch. This off-season's been very quiet, mostly. The recruiting visit, whatever, dead period ends June 1st, so hopefully the news picks up a little bit more from there. But anyways, this is the Golden Dome. See you later.